I'm Pierre, and I'm here with your weekly injury report and waiver wire recommendations. I'm going to start with a running back that you might not even have known got injured because it wasn't a serious injury. Left the game briefly, but then came back, and I'm talking about Ezekiel Elliott. Here's the thing. He's got a knee injury, contusion, so again, nothing significant. But here's the thing. After the game, in interviews, he said it's something he's been dealing with for a couple of weeks. But he didn't look quite like himself, didn't have his normal burst, and of course a down game. So this is something to monitor. What if it's something that leads to missed time or just less effectiveness? Tony Pollard, of course, has been a very effective fill-in, and so if Pollard gets more carries, they could lighten the load for Zeke. Just something to watch out for. So at this point, don't think he's going to miss time in Week 10 or going forward, but again, watch his practice status throughout the week and be prepared to put Pollard in there if necessary. All right, another running back this time who did leave the game and didn't return, and that's Chase Edmonds. You've got to wonder, first of all, if Edmonds is okay, his ankle, the fact that he didn't return, that's concerning. Is Connor going to take over this backfield? Of course, Edmonds is really the pass catcher. Connor is not, but Eno Benjamin came in and he looked pretty good. He, of course, had that truck where he ran over a defender, Drake Kirkpatrick, and scored a touchdown. You just have to wonder if Edmonds is going to see less time going forward. Eno Benjamin might be worth picking up if Edmonds does miss time. Don't know if it's going to be considered a serious injury, but as always, you have to monitor reports throughout the week. All right, we got a couple more running backs to talk about. First, before we continue, if you don't mind, consider hitting that like button. And if you haven't subscribed already, no reason to wait. Go ahead and do that now. Let's talk about the Patriots. Not one, but two of their running backs both got banged up and in fact left at the same time, around the same time in the fourth quarter, and both with suspected concussions. Talking about Damien Harris and Ramondre Stevenson. So Damien Harris has been a stud this year. Well, he left the game, and then also Ramondre Stevenson, his backup, the rookie guy who has looked impressive at times. Of course, he had a great preseason, and he's had a couple of nice big plays. He also left. So what if both of them are in the concussion protocol and don't clear in time? That leaves Brandon Bolden as the only healthy running back. They would probably reactivate JJ Taylor. But really, at this point, if both guys miss, or even if it's just one of them who's out, we do expect Brandon Bolden to see an uptick in touches. He's somebody that we know is a pass catcher, so he has a little bit of a floor, and he will be used. He's effective somewhat around the goal line. Bolden can be picked up as kind of an emergency add at running back. Now let's also go on to Zach Moss. Didn't get a lot of action because he left in the second quarter, also with a head injury. If he is out, then that means Devin Singletary does claim the job for himself. Do you want to start Devin Singletary? No, not necessarily, because Devin Singletary is a guy who, again, in this offense just doesn't get enough volume. He does have some speed. He can break off the big plays, but again, the floor is very low for him. He is somebody who could be a Moss replacement. So just at the very least, look out if you did have Moss. Be prepared to possibly be without him in Week 10. And then Devontae Booker is a guy that had been feeling very nicely for Saquon Barkley. Has a nice game going actually in Week 9, and then left with a hip injury. Here's the thing with Devontae Booker. You can drop him regardless of how seriously he's hurt, because in Week 10, the Giants have a bye, so he's not playing. And then after that, Saquon Barkley will be back. Really, Devontae Booker's value is just going to be what it was at the beginning of the season, strictly as a handcuff. Now, that is still going to give him some relevance because, as we've seen, Saquon Barkley having a hard time staying on the field, unfortunately. So if you do have Barkley already and you want to keep Booker around for insurance, I get it, that's fine. But anyone else, don't feel compelled to hold him right now. I got a couple quarterbacks to talk about, but first, let me remind you that if you want to support us besides subscribing, you can become a patron. There's information in the description below on how to join our Patreon page. All right, let's get to it now, though. Quarterbacks to talk about, and that is Tua. Didn't wind up playing, was a last-minute scratch. Didn't get to take the field because of a finger injury. What we're hearing from Coach Brian Flores doesn't sound very promising for this week because the Dolphins play the Thursday night game against Baltimore, and that's a short turnaround. If he doesn't get practice time early in the week, look, Brissett is fine. He's a good game manager. He can get the job done. He's a veteran. So there's really not a lot of reason for them to rush Tua back out, especially because it's not like they have any hope of making the playoffs anyways. So I kind of expect Tua not to play. Probably not somebody that fantasy owners should be playing anyways in single quarterback leagues, especially against Baltimore. Last week was his chance against Houston. Didn't happen, unfortunately. So at this point, Tua, you're just going to have to keep him benched, or you can drop him if you had picked him up. And then last but not least, this is interesting, and I wanted to share that I had seen this somewhere, and now I can't find it, that Jimmy Garoppolo had a lower leg injury that he suffered late in the game. I can't find that there's a really strong report anywhere that this is something that happened, but I know I saw it, and it could be one of these like rumored things. I don't know what it is, but the fact is Garoppolo, well, he put up numbers, 326 yards, but he didn't lead the team anywhere close to victory in this game, and he could be getting a warm seat. Kyle Shanahan, he loves his veterans for some reason, and he's reluctant to put Trey Lance in if Garoppolo is healthy. Really take a look at the situation. If Garoppolo is hurt, be prepared to pick up Lance because we know what he can do, his arms and his leg. Keep in mind that Garoppolo is somebody that, long as he is healthy, will be the starter. But keep an eye on this situation. Garoppolo just never seems to stay healthy for long. All right, that does it for the injury report. That was our Week 10 edition, and good luck this coming week.